Now at 5, rain is back in play and plenty of it, with flood watches being the big threat moving forward for the next few days. We'll start breaking it down in first weather coming up.
Plus, new prospects for the future of Joplin's historic Union Depot. And
I'm Natalie Brand at the Supreme Court. A look at how states and lawmakers are preparing for the court's final decision on Roe v. Wade.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
more rain is in the forecast as parts of the area already face the threat of flooding. This is KOAM News at 5. Let's go straight to Nick Kelly for the latest.
As advertised, out of the rain back in action ever since late this morning and certainly going throughout the afternoon. Plenty of clouds, wet roads for sure from our vantage point at 7th and Range Line. For our area, though, fortunately, we're not going to deal with much in the way of severe weather, but more rain on the way on top of already saturated ground. No surprise that most of us are under flood watches taking us till Thursday afternoon. And in the short term, we've got the Neosho River near Commerce running a little high with a river flood advisory and a couple more flood advisories south of I-44, mainly for minor flooding concerns, but concerns we're keeping an eye on nonetheless. The radar right now looks like some of us in our southern counties getting a bit of a break in the action, but more rain building in from the I-35 corridor and additional storms will come at us from Oklahoma. But again, the big severe threat's going to stay south of us for tonight. We'll see how long these rain chances will stick with us coming up in the bit now.
See you then. Joplin's Union Depot used to be unlike any other train station in its time, but it's been vacant for over 50 years and just last year was placed on Missouri's Places in Peril list. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky joins us in the studio now with efforts to preserve and revitalize the building.
Dow, exciting changes could be coming to Joplin's historic Union Depot. Today, the Downtown Joplin Alliance, State Historic Preservation Office of Missouri, and the Glenn Group announced a partnership to save the building. Union Depot holds historical significance, and as the group search for a developer, they say they want someone who will add something beneficial to the area and comply with set guidelines.
Just it being a visually iconic structure for the community is significant, and then it also means something to a lot of people who might have rode trains in or out of it when we had train service, passenger train service to it. So it's important to preserve our history and to maintain those buildings because they, once they're gone, they're gone.
While what will come of the Union Depot is still up for discussion, the initial steps for marketing the building have already begun. I'm Bronte Sorotsky for KOAM News.
Bronte, thanks. Some Kansas residents are getting a break on their taxes. Governor Laura Kelly today signed a bill allowing people age 65 and older and disabled veterans to get a property tax refund of up to $2,500 as long as they make less than $75,000 a year. Disabled veterans are also eligible for income tax exemptions, and teachers can now receive tax credits for buying classroom supplies. The political fallout is growing over the leak of a Supreme Court majority draft opinion from February suggesting Roe v. Wade should be overturned. The document was first reported by Politico. President Biden says more could be at stake if the landmark ruling is struck down. The issue has reignited passions on both sides with just 6 months before November's midterm elections. Natalie Brand has more now from Washington.
As demonstrators remained outside of the U.S. Supreme Court for the second straight day, President Joe Biden took aim at Republicans and supporters of his predecessor.
What are the next things that are going to be attacked? Because this MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history, in recent American history.
On Capitol Hill, Democratic lawmakers are vowing to hold a vote on legislation to make Roe v. Wade federal law.
Every single American is going to see where every single senator stands.
But with the filibuster and a 50-50 Senate, there's little to no chance of passage because Democrats need at least 60 votes. The issue is poised to galvanize voters on both sides heading into this year's elections.
Those decisions should be made by the elected representatives of the people back in the various states.
The leaked draft opinion was circulated internally among justices in February. The final decision isn't expected until late June or early July, but already states and healthcare providers are preparing.
At the heart of the Supreme Court case is a Mississippi law that bans most abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. Volunteers who escort patients to what's known as the Pink House say they aren't shocked. It's the state's only remaining abortion clinic.
What we wanted it to be was the protesters went away, and this could be normal health care like it should be. Unfortunately, that's not the reason we won't be needed anymore.
Abortion access in Pennsylvania will remain legal and safe.
Democratic governors are vowing to protect or expand abortion rights. More than 20 GOP-led states have laws that would restrict abortions should the nearly 50-year-old precedent be struck down. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Federal lawmakers from both parties have criticized the leak of the Supreme Court document as unethical and egregious. The Chief Justice John Roberts has called for an investigation. Russian forces are attacking the steel plant sheltering some of the last holdouts in the key southern seaport of Mariupol in Ukraine. While some civilians have escaped from the plant, many Ukrainians near the front lines are still caught up in the fighting, including dozens of children. Meanwhile, the European Union is proposing a ban on Russian oil, and the Biden administration is urging Congress to approve more funding to help Ukraine defend itself. Still ahead, the cost of borrowing.
The Federal Reserve is raising interest rates to fight inflation. I'm Skyler Henry in Washington with what that means for consumers and how it'll impact their wallets.
But first, a new type of UV light to kill dangerous microbes. That's next in Health Watch. Topping today's Health Watch, a new survey finds 3/4 of obese adults tried to lose weight in the past year, but most have not been successful. The survey of nearly 2,000 adults with obesity from 6 European countries shows 81% used diet and exercise to try to lose weight, but only 25% achieved good weight loss. Markers of heart health and diabetes are detectable in overweight children from the age of 6 years old. That's according to a new study of nearly 1,000 Danish children. Overweight and obese children are more likely to remain overweight and obese into adolescence and adulthood, increasing their risk of heart disease and diabetes later in life. New research in Germany highlights the importance of regular medication training for nurses. Survey of 485 trained nurses finds nearly half made at least one error administering medications within the last year. Nurses who received recent training were less likely to make mistakes. We know the risk of COVID transmission is much less outside. Well, now researchers are testing new technology that could make indoor air as safe as outdoor air. Reporter Michael George has more.
As these dental students practice on mannequins, this lamp is disinfecting the air.
We're excited because we're the first ones to test it.
Researchers at Columbia University are trying out a new kind of ultraviolet light called far UVC light. Dr. David Brenner says unlike the UV light currently used to sterilize hospital rooms and equipment when people are not around, these lamps use a different wavelength that is not known to be harmful to people.
This far UVC light really can't penetrate into our skin or into our eyes.
Dr. Brenner co-authored new research showing far UVC light took less than 5 minutes to kill 98% of indoor airborne microbes, which means it could possibly reduce the transmission of diseases such as flu and COVID.
We know there are going to be new variants that haven't reached us yet. And the nice thing about far UVC is it should be effective against every type of virus.
The lamps can be installed in the ceiling and cost about $200 each. Dr. Brenner says we could one day see these in hospitals, schools, and on planes.
Where are we transmitting COVID? Where are we transmitting influenza? It's almost entirely indoors because you have so much ventilation outdoors. I think what we have achieved with far UVC is the equivalent of stepping outside.
Dr. Stephen Erdy is excited the research is being tested at a dental clinic, since many microbes in the mouth can get into the air.
This is a great opportunity to decrease that load so that when the patients are here, providers are safer and other patients in the same facility are safer.
A potential game changer that could possibly prevent the next pandemic. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Scientists say another advantage of this UV technology is that viruses and bacteria cannot develop a resistance, which can happen with vaccines and drugs. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, our pet vet on call.
Hi, I'm Dr. Eva Dudek from Parsons Pet Hospital. Coming up, we're going to talk about a few things about catnip.
But first, we'll break down how long these rain chances will stick with us and as well the extended forecast when we come back. Like it or not, rain is back in play, and that's what kept temperatures down throughout the good portion of the afternoon. And not to mention plenty of wet pavement, not just from Indigo Sky outside of Seneca, Missouri, our live shot from the casino grounds, but pretty much all across the area. After we had a quiet evening, we had some showers developed early this morning, then the better chances for rain worked on in. Thankfully, nothing severe so far, but we definitely had some good downpours with the heaviest of the rain and thunderstorm chances that have passed through already. This is just today's estimated rain amounts alone. We're not even including the rain that we picked up on Friday and to start the week out. Almost an inch on the average, heavier amounts along the south of 44, and that is still the big reason why we've got flood watches for almost the entire area until we hit 1 o'clock Thursday afternoon. And some flood advisories are out there. The Neosho River has a flood advisory almost near minor flooding stages. Just be mindful of that. And we have some aerial flood advisories, minor flooding concerns for northeastern parts of Berry County and eastern parts of Benton County as well. But we're getting, at least in our southern counties, a little bit of a lull in the action. But you can see more rain building out to the west coming out of Wichita. Fortunately for us, the warm front is staying along the I-40 corridor. So your severe weather chances tonight, for us thankfully, are going to stay out in central and southern Oklahoma, even down to parts of Texas. But that doesn't mean we're done with the rain chances. We got plenty of cloud cover while the sky is dry for now in Joplin. 55 degrees with an east breeze at 6. Most spots north of 44 are in the lower to middle 50s, but we're just trying to dry out. We're actually seeing some lower 60s in northeastern Oklahoma, but everyone's going to primarily stay in the 50s through the evening and as we go into tomorrow morning. Let's break down your surface map setup. Again, you can see the big severe threat beginning to ramp up across parts of Oklahoma and Texas. Here is your warm front, cold front behind it as well. And the upper low now sitting over Colorado. Both of these are going to be slow to move along, so that means we're going to hold on to the cloud cover for tonight. And while a good number of us will get a bit of a break to start the evening out as far as rain chances go, here's 9 o'clock, taking us through 1 a.m., 4 a.m. and into tomorrow morning. Fortunately for us, we're not expecting much in the way of severe weather. That should stay almost just south of the region, but this is all heavy rainfall that we don't need more of. But despite all these rain chances, we'll start the morning out with temperatures in the 50s, and before the cold front can come on through, we are going to trend warmer for tomorrow afternoon. 56 in the morning, 67 by noon. We're expecting highs around 73 ahead of the approaching cold front, but we need to keep an eye on this cold front in general because as it pulls in more warm and more unstable air from the south, we'll have to watch for thunderstorms along the front. Some of these could be strong, possibly low-grade severe. That's something Doug and I will watch over the next day or so. And then once we get past a few showers Friday morning, we'll get a good chance to dry out for the upcoming holiday weekend. But in the short term, though, as long as these rain chances are around, this is why these flood watches are out. Anywhere from 1 inch on the low end to 3, maybe 4 inches on the high end. So flooding is going to be the big takeaway that we'll keep a close eye on for the next day or so. 73 Thursday, 65 Friday. But look at the big warm-up coming our way now. 82 on Saturday, upper 80s. We're talking almost early summer weather going into next week.
That'll certainly be welcome and really nice for Mother's Day. People planning picnics or other outdoor activities.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Nick. Hey, when severe weather strikes, you're going to want to stay informed. You can do that by scanning this QR code. It'll take you to the KOAM News Now YouTube page where our weather team is going to live stream during severe weather events to give you updated information. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. How a building is constructed can make a big difference in the protection it provides when severe weather strikes. And now the Joplin Area Habitat for Humanity is building a home to the fortified standards set by the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety. The home features walls with 6 inches of concrete that can withstand winds of up to 130 miles per hour. Habitat officials say this is the first home in Missouri to meet the fortified standard. Coming up, the latest Federal Reserve effort to battle inflation. First, though, we recognize a local veteran of the U.S. Air Force. Special Operation Command, Michael Shane Lundian, joined in 1990 and served in many places around the world, including Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Italy. His hometown, Carl Junction, Missouri. And we are proud to salute Michael Shane Lundy, a four-state hero. Topping today's Consumer Watch, in March, the Federal Reserve made moves to fight inflation. Well, now the Fed is taking an even more aggressive step. Reporter Skylar Henry explains.
Consumer prices continue to rise at the fastest rate in decades, and that has the Federal Reserve once again increasing interest rates in an attempt to slow inflation down.
My colleagues and I are acutely aware that high inflation imposes significant hardship, especially on those least able to meet the higher costs of essentials like food, housing, and transportation.
Fed Chairman Jerome Powell announced a 0.5 percentage point increase, the biggest boost in 22 years.
I think what Jerome Powell is telling us is that the Fed is in full-on inflation-fighting mode.
CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says the Fed could continue to raise rates in the coming months to slow down price hikes, but faces a delicate balancing act.
The Fed is trying not to go so fast to increase interest rates by so much so quickly that it would cause the economy to stop in its tracks.
The White House has supported the Fed's effort to lower inflation, and while this strategy is designed to bring prices down, it also makes borrowing money more expensive. Homeowners who have an adjustable rate mortgage could see their rate go up. Auto loans, student loans, and interest on credit cards will also rise slightly.
On the flip side, savers should see a tiny bit more interest being credited in savings accounts, money market accounts.
Schlesinger says it will take time for the latest rate hike to have an effect on the economy and ease the pace of inflation. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Our Pet Vet on Call is coming up, but first the numbers from today's big rally on Wall Street. Up next on the CBS Evening News, the series Modern Moms and the incredible mother who spread her love to literally hundreds of kids. Then on KOAM News at 6, more details on the proposal to save Joplin's historic Union Depot. Plus, a look at what a Supreme Court ruling on Roe v. Wade could potentially mean for abortion access in Missouri. And we're going to meet a couple of identical twin sisters about to graduate from KCU Joplin. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Every pet has its own unique personality, but some traits are common. Today's question for our Pet Vet on Call: why do cats respond to catnip?
Catnip is an herb in the mint family. It's been used a lot by people a long time ago for restful sleep and until modern drugs came along. So they've started using it in cats. Actually, it is a very safe herb. The compound in it is called nepetalactone. Say that 3 times fast. If a cat ingests nepetalactone or catnip, you do get mellow. They actually probably sleep better, just like people did. But if they inhale it, then they get energized. They jump, they play, they run, they attack playful, of course. So if you want your cat to get a little bit more energetic, we're a little fat, we're not doing anything, try catnip. It also is an excellent herb to plant outside. It attracts butterflies.
Hey, we invite questions from anyone. If you have one, you just send it to petvet@koamtv.com. Dr. Eva Dudek from the Parsons Pet Hospital answers a different question or brings us a fun fact every Wednesday on KOAM News at 5. And you can also find answers to previous questions on our website. Now let's check out our picks of the litter for the week. From the Joplin Humane Society, we've chosen this domestic long-haired cat. It's an adult male named Donut. From the looks of him, we'd guess a powdered donut. And from the Southeast Kansas Humane Society, take a look at this Husky Labrador Retriever mix. He's a 2-year-old male. The society says he's surprisingly relaxed for his breed, loves to just hang out with people and cuddle up with toys and blankets. His name is Hawk. They say also, by the way, he really likes the snow. If you're looking for a pet, why not check out your local Humane Society? No snow for Hawk in the forecast. It might be a lot of rain out there, though.
Yeah, plenty of it that we don't need, but it's in the cards for us tonight into tomorrow morning. A break during the middle of the day tomorrow, then another shot of storms late tomorrow afternoon and evening, but we'll still trend warmer tomorrow with highs near 73. Thankfully, now we're drying out for the weekend and even going from 65 Friday to 88 on Mother's Day.
That's a nice warm-up. Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next, and of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. See you then. Let's make it a great evening.